So our discussion of the week is the return of big budget space operas. It's been something we've been seeing lately. 70s and 80s they thrived, famously Star Wars and whatnot. But before we go any further, defining space operas. When you guys think of the term space opera, what are the movies that come to mind for you?
Spaceballs.
Technically,
Uh,
yes.
of course, Star Wars and Star Trek, but then the Fifth Element, because of the opera
Yeah.
term in
Okay.
there, always
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like because the singing alien in it.
Yeah, Guardians of
but
the
yeah,
Galaxy
movies
2
like
for
that.
me, and 3
Oh,
really
yeah.
especially. Those are very big, space operas.
Oh, and Titan AE is like my favorite
Yes,
space
sir.
opera. That's always top of my list.
Yeah, that is
That's
a
such
good
a good
one.
movie. That's when we're talking about remakes. That's the one that needs a live action movie. That would be so good.
Frankly, you know what that needs is people to go watch the damn movie.
Yeah, watch the
That-
original.
yeah.
It's like a
Um,
star-studded cast too. I can't believe you look it up.
Yeah,
it's like
Matt
all these
Damon
great
and stuff.
actors.
It is
Yeah,
nuts.
Drew Barrymore.
So recently, they kind of went on hiatus, and a couple that did come out, like Jupiter Ascending and stuff like that, they all bombed
Mhm.
terribly. And so, but lately there's been talks, and I think it might be because of like Dune and stuff like that, and Andor, a rise in wanting more space operas and for them to return. So we
Mhm.
have Star Wars Starfighter famously coming back. Um, my question for you guys is, are we headed into the next golden era of space operas, and why is that a good or a bad thing? So a couple reasons why I think this is starting to become big is I think after the pandemic, when things were just streaming only and whatnot, we're starting to, and the theaters are kind of dying. I think personally, I want to go to the theaters for the spectacle. Like I'm willing to go to IMAX. Like Fantastic Four, all about seeing that world on the big screen was where it's at. Do you guys feel like that's something that's coming up with space operas, like the big space movies? Is that it's about the spectacle in a big theater?
Might be right with Dune. I think Dune was a perfect one with that. Spaceships, explosions, those sandworms. I mean, that might be that pull that's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's the case because I mean I haven't seen a lot of these big budget movies coming back too much yet, but I'm hoping that's a trend because we've like we were just talking about earlier, these nostalgic movies that are just kind of cookie cutter cheap ones that are using the brand and the name to sell. I think people are getting tired of those. You don't want 10 easy movies in a year that aren't catching your attention. You want
Mhm.
one or two big blockbusters, top budget. Somebody spent 5 years to get this thing developed. And, like when Avatar first came out, that was huge and, revolutionary
yeah.
technology used in it and stuff like that. Let's get some more big, beautiful movies like that that are going to win all the awards, and one or two a year is plenty. We don't need to do like Marvel's trying to pump out 5 or 6 movies in a year, which we've seen now. They've scaled back their timeline and I think they've seen that too much is too much. They're starting to get to that point. But
Wonder if we
yeah,
had different feels, John. Wonder if like some of the is like that action packed space ones, but then we also get some horror elements to it. I mean, I'm
oh
just gonna
yeah,
throw in like maybe you can make Alien a little bit different than what it is right now to make it consider a space opera. I don't know what you can
Well,
say
the
about it,
key
but
the key I think with the idea of these big space movies is they're so grand that they frankly don't do good on your TV. When nowadays, if I'm gonna go watch like
Sure.
a mid budget movie or even like say Thunderbolts, a movie that is a lot more character based, I don't necessarily need to see that in theaters because it's not about the grand
Sure.
spectacle. But if we're talking about Avatar's a really good example. Let's go with Avatar for this example. The first Avatar I watched a couple times in theaters. Remember 3D was like the new thing again. But then Way of the Water came out and Squeaks was telling me, you gotta watch, you gotta watch. So I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it eventually.
Mhm.
I ended up watching it on Disney Plus. Very good movie. But while I'm watching it on Disney Plus, the thing that kept coming to my mind is I should have saw this bad boy in theaters. This thing
Yeah.
needed the big screen.
Yeah, we
And
watched
now-
the IMAX 3D.
Well, and now the next movie that's coming up, I will definitely be watching at the Delta Shores IMAX because I'm like, this thing deserves to be on the IMAX. And then Fantastic Four on IMAX was worth it, worth the extra money too. So I think that's a key thing with the space movies over most other movies, even some Marvel and DC, is that they require the bigger screen to really enjoy it, right?
yeah.
So outside of movies, do you think this is a push for like updated movie theaters everywhere, essentially? Because then people want to change to go to maybe drive a little further to hit that IMAX theater. So I'm thinking, for example, right now, like my theater doesn't have an IMAX, the closest one to me. So I would have to drive like 45 minutes to that. You think this might be a push, like, hey, we need to update our stuff because we might see a drop in sales of certain movies?
I could see that. Yeah, because
I don't know, why not?
we we might have a little bit of a bias here. We're fortunate enough to live in an area. California's just this way, and entertainment industry is a big part of our industry. So basically, every theater in our area has like recliners, bars, Starbucks, things like that.
I
know
hate
that.
myself. The one I always go to does not have any of that.
Oh, really? Okay. See, that's the thing.
It does not. So that's
When I hear from friends that live across the country, they don't necessarily have these amenities. I have 4 theaters near me that all have recliners and bars, so it's a whole different
the
game.
theater next to me, I still have to put the armrest down. When's the last time you ever had to do that?
Yeah, I mean, mine does, but it's because it's where the recliner buttons are. Yeah, So yeah, I think that's definitely a big push. We have the 4D, the XD stuff now, and of course IMAX. I think that's part of it. They have to make it more of an event, and these kind of movies help that quite a bit.
And speaking about making an event, I would love if they did like, big grand release with a couple of the cast members at select theaters, selling a bunch of merch and stuff like that. Like make it put a bigger hype at the theater. I know that's hard because there's tons of theaters, but can't just be, at all of them. They got to pick a few select ones. But I mean, that would be so much more fun to have a big release where you have kind of like a mini convention at the theater.
Yeah. And Marco agrees. Marco says that he wants more Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my wife was up until 4 a.m. So now let me go take care of him.
You're good. Yeah.
Hold on.
I think
is she partying then?
Well, no, it was because she was like dyeing the niece's hair. So I was like, well,
it sounds like it was her choice. So.
Yeah. So another thing too that I have here in the notes is that another reason space operas are doing so well is because it's like proven fans. So of course, if a new Star Wars comes out, even if I'm not super into the production or whatever of like this particular version of Star Wars, I'm probably going to see it in theaters, much like how Marvel has a hold on us. And I think other movies that come to theaters don't have that built-in fan base that, say, bringing back Avatar or another big space opera would have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I can see some of that being a downfall for the reason that a lot of these space operas have wonderful stories tailored to them. I'd never been into Dune in my life until that first one came out, and I love that universe. Some of these like random ones, Interstellar was a massive one that like I didn't know too much about, but I heard good things about the story itself. And it's like that's what's needed now. If you put Star Wars name on it, will that still have the same attraction with how people are feeling about Star Wars now? I mean, you've seen I think it'll be very much Andor feels if you were to see like a space opera in the movie theater. And of course, then the rumors will come out like, oh, this was a great story, blah, 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 blah. It's not just normal, typical Star Wars, like the latest sequel.
But I think they have an advantage, though, right? In theaters. Like, if it says Star Wars on it, I think it has an advantage over something they just call like Star Adventures. I don't know. That has built-in viewership.
I can see it hurt it at the same time because I think people are getting that fatigue. So I would be very
and
interesting
laziness,
to see.
too, on the production side, right? Because if it is a Star Wars, we saw that a lot with Marvel, where it's like we don't necessarily need to put it feels like we don't necessarily need to put the effort in because it's a Star Wars movie. They're all going to watch it anyways. So that might give them some laziness and a scapegoat.
And that hurt them the last sequel. I'll say it. I mean, that's a super. I'm just not say it back an asshole way to think of that you're going to put a movie out like that just to kind of like it'll make money. Whatever, it has a name on it.
Yeah. Couple of things coming up for these space operas that we're really kind of looking at here. So we have, of course, Star Wars Starfighter, the Mandalorian movie as well. We have the revivals for Battlestar Galactica and Stargate that are both in the workshop phase. We have the call for a new Star Trek movie that's in and out there. This one's going to be made, that one's going to be made. But nevertheless, now with the new Paramount and Skydance merger, that's almost inevitable. And then, of course, we have Avatar and Dune that are just like these big juggernauts at the movies right now. So there's a lot coming up. And I think some of the challenges is we have beautiful visuals, but I think Andor is a really good example of like, how could we also tell good story? And that's one of the harder things to do, the balance between the two. How are they going to be able to nail this with some of these big budget movies? Because sometimes the studio won't give them the time. They just want to see more fireworks. But I think Avatar does a pretty good job, right, with a story. What do you think about the Avatar story?
I mean, that's what hooked me up. And a lot of people say they'll copy off of Pocahontas or something like that. But that's what really hooked me besides like the awesome cinematography and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you can have great explosions and stuff like that. Have a shitty story. I mean, go talk to Michael Bay about it. He'll give you his prime
yeah,
example of all that. So
yeah.
I mean, he puts a name on anything like Ninja Turtles, right? Like, oh my god, childhood coming back to life, and then we get that bullshit. So
Hmm.
um, the story has to be there. It has to.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think that like I think Avatar does a very good job with it, but I think it's not necessarily the best. But there's been a lot like Jupiter Ascending was famously bad. Valerian was very famously bad because
Mhm.
they were just like, oh, we'll do all the space stuff, but the story sucked. And so I
Yeah.
think with this one, with Avatar, they do a really good job with that. With Dune, I'm really interested in that because
Mhm.
leaving Dune, I thought Dune 2, I thought, man, movie of the year easily. I go to talk to Thomas about it, and he's like, yeah, but I don't know, man. And then we had like a good hour and a half debate over like religion's impact on war. And it
Mhm.
was like, that's a
Mhm.
good movie. If it made us talk it like this, that's good. That's sci-fi. That's perfect.
Yeah,
So, you know.
they did do super good where it's like there's not a lot of crazy action in it, but
Hmm.
the politics and whatever about it
Yeah.
is super well done where it hooked me in that world. Now I haven't seen the Dune series because I've heard not the greatest things
It's
about it,
it's
that it's
it's
extreme
good.
gore.
It's beautifully done. It's not super quick paced. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's killer too. It's kind of like how do you get the best movie with both in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the challenge that they have to face to make it successful. But again, we've seen it with Dune, and there's a lot of action in Avatar.
Hmm.
Um, less in Dune, but I think both movies are wonderful.
How important are visual effects for? I mean, like I think visual effects itself are very important for these big space operas. But do you favor practical or CGI when it comes to that? Because I think it's one of the few places where I think CGI is accepted and actually
Hmm.
probably desired.
That's tough. I love practical effects, and I know if it looks cheesy or not, I still feel like Jurassic Park still holds up very well to me.
I agree.
With the
I agree.
mixture of both.
Hmm.
But man, Avatar, what a beautiful freaking world that is. Um,
Yeah.
and James Gunn just kills it with the motion capture. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's pretty important to me. I mean, I love being it. I mean, I'm gonna bring up Dune and Avatar this whole segment really, but
Right.
um even with the sandworms just popping up like out of the desert and it looks phenomenal to me. So I guess if it's done beautifully, shoot, yeah, I think it's very important.
I think practical effects does have a place to play if we look at like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hmm.
They built the Knowhere set for episode or for 3 and for the Christmas special, and
Hmm.
that really made it feel like a living world. So I think you can use practical effects very you know what? Skeleton Crew did a great job of practical effects as well too. Where that ship felt so tactile, like I could
Hmm.
almost feel those switches that they're switching inside the ship. And I think
Yeah.
when you could balance the two, because I think Star Trek, for example, does such a great job with their CGI that it's like the walls could be plain inside because it's okay. I know you guys are going to put all in the CGI at the outside of the ship. But for finding that balance is important. But I think it's one of the few places where, like, if you falter in the CGI, it will destroy the movie.
Mm.
Marvel, if they fuck up the CGI, then we're just like, man, I'm the one dropping F bombs. If they mess with the CGI, then you can be like, well, that character looks bad. But if you do that with the ship that the movie's about, that's a
Yeah.
problem. So I think it's a little
Yeah.
bit more worrisome, when it comes to sci-fi stuff.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. And then let's look over kind of the building blocks for this and see what parts of space operas we like. So some of the core elements, that ensemble cast, I go back to Guardians of the Galaxy. I think that found family thing with Guardians of the Galaxy is so top notch and might be our new Star Wars. Like what I'm saying is like the Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia trio. I think we find that kind of companionship within
Oh,
Guardians of the
okay.
Galaxy.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. And you think this will like lead up to a new
I think that's why that
crew
movie
of a set
has.
of movies?
Well, I think that's why those movies have longevity. I think
Mm.
I think that's one of the things, frankly, if I'm being honest with you, that's Avatar falters with. I don't think the characters of Avatar are as lovable as other, or endearing as other sci-fi movie
Yeah.
space operas.
Yeah, I get that for sure. I think it's because this is like there's a lot more comedic relief, relatability of just the human
Mm-hmm.
aspect out of it. Um, I don't see. Yeah, I see that actually. I mean, I don't love to say anything negative about the one of the
I
greatest
know.
franchises ever made ever, but but yeah, it's definitely more enjoyable to watch this like ragtag group of Guardians of the Galaxy than it is watching solely trying to be one with the Navi, which fucking would love to just take my body and be one with him. But yes.
Well, but I think he follows. So if you don't have that ensemble cast, I think you have to have like the hero, and so I think he falls on that side because I think you have, and I think Dune falls under that too. Like Paul Atreides, unfortunately, like hey, Zendaya is incredible, but I think she's always going to play second fiddle. As much as they could try to fix the character, I think from Frank Herbert's version, I think Chaney, the character, is always going to be behind Paul Atreides, never match him. And then Paul, of course, sets up his son to also be pretty amazing. But yeah, I think that's this thing where like you can have those hero characters, but you're banking the entire franchise on that character, so they better do well, you know?
Yeah, that's a good observation because I think that's what the difference is when you have a group kind of coming together and having these like silly wits and then like being the team that they can be to save the world or whatever. It's definitely a different feel. I like that. That's a good observation. I never thought of it like that.
Because like Star-Lord, I would say is like supposed to be that one hero character for the Guardians of the Galaxy, but he's too flawed to be so good of a character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and all these other characters have their moments, whether it's funny or just like a little action pack, or even saving the team, which is like Groot comes in at the end. What was it? That was the first one.
The first one when he does like the we are Groot moment. Yeah.
So it's like they have their moments instead of just that one specific character having all the moments.
Yeah. And then let's see what else we have here. The living and breathing worlds that feel real. I think Dune thrives in this. I think Star Trek thrives in this too, because when I feel like I don't know if we'll ever reach Star Trek's, version of utopia, but if we did, I think I could see the motivations there. Like it boils down to friendship, love, a fear, stuff like that in the end. And so, Jonathan, going to you on this one, is there any of these space operas that have a believable world that you think actually could exist someday?
Believable world. Yeah, maybe Star Trek is the only one that, it's based on our world. But like a believable world, meaning we would find alien life somewhere for the most part. Cause, I don't think so. Not that I can think of. Like something like Judge Dredd is not ideal, but
yeah.
That dystopian future kind of. It's just the evolution.
That's not really a space opera. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. My thing is, so when it's these livable worlds, I think one of the reasons these movies are starting to come back and are starting to resurge is they feel so possible. It feels like there would be a world like Dune. Star Wars, while I feel like there's not enough different races, but the main characters, I should say, are not a bunch of different races. Like, I feel like the Empire should be a lot more than just all humans. But that's part of the racism of the Empire, frankly. I think that world, that galaxy is real. Like, it could be real. And I think that's part of the appeal of these things coming back, is because I think while Marvel, superhero movies, one of the fatigue things that might be happening is it's just so impossible that somebody like the Hulk could exist here. If you put it in a faraway galaxy, it all of a sudden is possible,
So you don't want to see like a Starship Troopers like the universe exists in our time frame.
That's another one that's coming back, is Starship Troopers, actually.
That's killing everyone.
That's a great call, because that's another one of them that's being remade right now, is Starship Trooper. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of them like fleshing out the world too and making it challenging, like making it feel like you are fighting to survive in it. Like in Avatar, how there's all these other creatures on the planet. You could just take it, a mile back and just see blue planet, blue people, big trees, and keep it simple. But when you add all these other elements, there's a Atari stuff that you stick in, and it's actually flammable because it's, unique to this planet. There's all kinds of different things that add small layers and depth to it that make it feel so much more real versus, just the snapshot. And
there's a level of like wonder there too, where I'm like, oh man, that's interesting. I want to learn more. And I think that doing that to people, and Star Wars from 77 really did a good job with this. But then people are like, I got to learn more about, I'm going to look it up. I'm going to research it. And then that's where people can start making additional content around that, which is what Star Wars really thrived with. And people start to soak up all that new material. And I think that's something that we're seeing out of the next generation of space operas as well, where it's like The Expanse is a really good one. The Foundation, like some of these shows that are coming out, Andor. Boy, Andor, I wanted so much more of this spy network that was put in place. And it's like, give me more Andor, some version of it. I need to know more about that spy network. You know?
And I like when they can give you the tip of the iceberg and then you
Yeah.
kind of assume the rest is within the world. Like we see in Avatar that connection that they make with the horses, with their hair tails or whatever.
What a weird
And-
thing that I just love.
Yeah. But then once you see that, and you're like, oh, they connect at such a deep level with this animal. So all creatures must connect to some degree and with the planet itself. You know, all nature's a little bit more connected than we think. So moving forward, when you see an animal attacking as a predator versus a prey or something like that, you think like, well, maybe they have more of a connection than a lion and a gazelle do on our planet, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just gives you more to think about moving forward.
One of the things that we talk about often when we talk about Star Trek, especially over at Trek Freaks, guys, check that out. That's in the archives, is how sci-fi is used to put a lens on our current situation. And I think that that's another thing that space operas don't do well is they kind of let you see all the spectacle, but then tell you like, hey, maybe capitalism shouldn't be so greedy. And I think that's the thing with Avatar, right? Like if you guys were to go there, find unobtainium and farm it reasonably, you'd be fine. Everybody would have unobtainium and be fine. But instead, they got to get that military asshole to come in and just start burning down the Na'vi. And they're just like, there were better ways. You know? Like, listen to Sigourney Weaver. She's the one that's correct. You know?
If you want to do it a capitalist way, if there's something that the Na'vi would like from us, just make a deal with. They farm the material for you and you provide them with something and you got, you know, commerce there.
Yeah, I think unfortunately it's just the human aspect. You're getting, how do you pull everyone, right? And there's going to be the type of people that are like, yeah, let's just take over. And then you get the ones logical ones like, hold on, we could like, you know, like work something out together.
Yeah,
So
especially if you could hire the Na'vi in some way, you know, to hire trade with them. They don't need the suits to farm stuff. Like they live on that planet, so it's definitely more cost effective to work with the Na'vi than it is to work against.
Yeah.
But you almost said it, to use them to make them into slaves. It's the first
There it is. He's in his military.
I need that unobtainium, damn it. Is there any other big space opera themes and lessons that you think really shine to you and should be echoed again?
Like we touched on earlier with short circuits and Data and the Doctor and Star Trek, is this whole like life isn't what we think it is, but life can be so much more. So there could be AI life and digital life, and like we've talked about before, but like other planets might not have oxygen and, you know, living creatures in the way that we understand life, but they could have a type of sentience, like a type of, you know, intelligence that, you know, it's made out of rocks or a gas in the air, some crazy thing that we don't understand. But I like being able to explore that concept through sci-fi. But I think the most understandable version that, you know, people would relate with now would be AI and technology developing its own consciousness. So I think that would be good to see.
Yeah.
I think one of the big ones that we see with Dune, and we talked about it a little bit, is the idea of this blind faith in religion and how you need to have some skepticism in the right way of, like, I mean that, you know, in a friendly way, is you need to think about what you're being told and not blindly believe something or someone or whatever to unhealthy degree. I mean, like Paul Atreides, we're rooting for him, and he's even telling you like, I'm going to become the leader of an empire that's going to kill a lot of people if you let me. And they're just like, no, but we want you to, we need you to. And then at some point he's taking all these poor Fremen off of Dune. They're built for Dune, for Arrakis. I'm sorry. He takes them off of Arrakis and they go start invading the rest of the world, and the galaxy. And he's like, I told you this is going to happen, guys. And then he takes the juice and he's like, all right, I guess it's time for this to happen now. And the whole movie's telling you this. And like, I was talking to Squeaks about this, like Thomas, afterwards, we talked a long time about that, like the complexity of that story, that you're not supposed to like Paul at the end. He has become a bad guy. And it sucks because you're like, no, but I like Paul. And it's like, exactly. You know,
you're slowly watching Darth Vader take power and you're on his side for some reason.
My favorite scene with Anakin Skywalker isn't him like having fun or falling in love with Padme. It's him walking up with the 501st behind him, about to kill a bunch of Jedi. Like, that's my favorite visual of him. Yeah. And then I want to touch on too, like Galaxy Quest, which is one that's not, it's, you know, last 20 years or whatever. But I think that one too, of this idea of like having imagination and leaning into it, and it's okay to have fun, and finding that as a way to create found families and stuff. Because I think found families is such a big part of space operas. and Galaxy Quest I know is being brought into a TV series now. They're making a TV series for it, so I think it's a good time for that. We're just getting so much of these being brought back, and I think for the most part, these space movies are hopeful, and so I'm happy for them coming back in a lot of ways. Yeah. With everything coming back, is there any particular sci-fi franchise you'd want to see thrive again? Like I know Star Wars needs that second coming. Yeah, I mean that sequel trilogy just did not hit very well. It was kind of jumbled. We have Starfighter coming up. We have Mandalorian coming up. Is there any other big sci-fi franchise you'd want to see come back?
I always want to see more Star Trek or see Star Trek do better.
We need Star Trek movies, I think, is the key.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's, and we keep getting like, oh, this one's in development, that one's in development, but nothing like coming up, you know?
Yeah, not really. Those movies I love, and that's what pulled me into the Star Trek universe, where I'm watching now. Next Generation, or even what was that? Discoveries, whatever.
Yeah, but you came in with the J.J. Abrams movies, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I mean. Those movies were phenomenal.
And when those came out, some of the Trekkies were not happy with it. I was, but some were not, because they were like, well, this isn't real Star Trek. That whole term of like, this isn't real whatever is so annoying, because like maybe it's just not for you, but it brings in a new Star Trek fan like Squeaks. Yeah, exactly, and now he's watching Next Gen, which is real Star Trek, you know?
Yeah.
Star Trek's like Baskin Robbins, man. They got all these different flavors, and it might not be the one that you like, but that's okay.
Yeah, true.
For somebody else.
Very true.
Yeah. I think Stargate's an interesting one that I know that, friend of the show, Kevin, is such a huge advocate for. And I actually spoke to somebody who's in charge of their PR, and he's like, trust me, it's coming. It's something that we're all talking about on our side. But I think Stargate's a fun one to explore, where it's just like right through another portal is an entire new world. And that kind of like Lion Witch and the Wardrobe thing to me also kind of opens up imagination. Like on that side, gravity works differently, or on this side, Egypt is still thriving or something like that. It's fun to experience.
Yeah.
And like I was saying before, Back to the Future. Let's play with time travel again. But explain the laws of time travel very clearly in the new ones, so that there's no controversy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frank, you brought up a good point, where like it's this broad of sci-fi movies where it's like family friendly too, with Galaxy Quest. But I'm gonna bring up a comedy one that I would like to see kind of come back and do its thing, and that's gonna be Mars Attacks. Okay. I'm ready for a new one. I could just be
definitely not family oriented, because there's a lot of dying in those.
I'm just saying there's a lot of comedy though, and I think I'm picturing like a Seth Rogen, like a studio version of him.
Oh
just being this comedic, like just this hilarious movie. I mean, I would love to see like a comedy side of the sci-fi movies again.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Like Coneheads was such a good movie.
Yeah.
Imagine something don't
Coneheads.
do a reboot of that, but like Frank said, a spiritual successor of that kind of movie.
Yeah.
Would be great.
When he's golfing at the end to like beat the big monster that's in the thing with him, he's just like humming the song and like, I am so here for this. It's so good. So I think it's good that we're getting these space operas coming back. I'm so happy for it. It's what got me into sci-fi in a lot of ways. Watching Star Trek, something about like watching Star Trek Voyager and just seeing Voyager when they do those big panning shots. It's a classic thing where they always show the outside of the ship panning. You see it like going through the nebula, and it's kind of making that wake, and it opens up so much of your imagination. And I think that's a really good thing for like the next generation to have, is movies that open up their imagination and then tell you that like found family is family and stuff like that. So I think that's all big hallmarks. So I want to leave the listeners with this. What is your favorite space opera series? And I want to hear your pitches for the next Star Trek movie, because I think that's a big franchise that really is going to see a resurgence with the Skydance. I'm optimistic that they're going to see a resurgence with Skydance now merging with Paramount. And so leave that in your guys' comments and leave that on social media. Let us know. But I think that's the next big question is where's the next Star Trek movie coming from?